Hey guys, and welcome to the 4th episode of Top's Tutorial. So this episode's actually pretty special because it's the first episode that I make after a request, so thank you to Elsooth for suggesting Dark Matter Shrine, and don't hesitate to suggest other tracks in the comments or just in general send me a message on Discord. But yeah, this Tops in particular was a long time coming. I've TT'd this track even back when I was in like MF a year and a half ago because Vesfef, the leader of the team, was BKT holder, so he tended to indiv it quite a bit. I got 9th on it, though honestly with ending low lap 3 it could have very well been like up to 5th, but we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. DMS overall a really technical track, really good for 2-3, especially if you're in wars. And it all starts with this Shroomless right here, pretty standard Shroomless, especially in second or third line. In first line it's still doable, but it's a lot more difficult and you tend to be bumped around quite a bit. It's pretty easy, you just aim to spin hop into the dip and hard drift left. For those that don't know what a spin hop is or that don't know how to execute it properly, in this case, you just flick your control stick to the right as you hop and then flick it back left in order to get more of a spin and more height. Both of these will give you a better angle to go into the Shroomless with. Pretty easy overall once you correct it. My advice for it would be just to tilt back before you land because it tends to give you a bit of a better angle on landing. Otherwise, if you nosedive, there's a chance that if you land like a bit early, you can get like a really weird drift that goes wide. Otherwise, it's better just to make it more often than not and you don't lose much time on it. Release empty, wheelie. Once you land here, you'll want to get into an MT and aim for this little lip right here on the uphill to go through the ground on the other side. It can be a bit weird if you released MT too early or if you release MT too early, you might not have enough speed. If you wheelie too late, you might not get enough height. It's a bit of a timing to get, though it's not as hard as I'm making it seem, honestly, once you get enough practice. So yeah, just wheelie after, you'll be able to most of the time just clip your back wheel into it and it'll release itself on its own. And here comes what I'd call the first little RNG part of the track. Which is the second, which is the shroom cut, the TT shroom cuts, and the second shroom cut after the first one on this side. The reason why I say it's pretty RNG is because it can send you in a lot of weird places depending on your bounce. Though what I would advise is just to full on send it on tight drift. As long as you take it in a really like tight enough line, you should be able to just even if you clip out of it a little bit, as you can see, more often than not, you'll just land up back on it and end up continuing to drift. If you try and take it more towards the middle, it's more likely that you either end up a bounce or just get a weird line out of cut and end up hitting the wall. You can also just start a bit wider on it. Though it is slower, especially in TTs, it can be better if you're just not confident on it online. Afterwards, you drift trick off to the left here. Depending on your angle, you can just trick normally, but that's pretty easy overall. Just get back on it. And actually, fun fact for this video specifically, because the Shroomless route on this little section is that much more different, I actually also got tops on Shroomless. On the Shroomless version, I got 4th worldwide on it just to make sure that I quote-unquote knew what I was talking about, and it's still pretty easy, though it starts, the line changes start right away after the bean. You'll want to land in a wheelie and just go straight here, and the reason for that is because you don't want to go up to the lip here, you'll actually want to drift trick off the side of this ramp and land onto one of the rightmost circle on top of that. And the reason for this is because it actually gives you a flip trick upon landing, which gives you a lot more speed going into the next section. Here you'll want to try and aim for this little lip right here, get a bounce, and start a slip drift on landing. Pretty standard stuff. And here you'll actually get a lot of different answers from different players. Some people will tell you, oh, just drift trick left, or drift trick in any way, and just whatever trick you get. I will say that I find it much more consistent to line yourself up before the ramp and just get a side trick. Right side trick for me works every time. Because I've had instances where an up or down trick will just make me bounce on the underside of the road and send me into the void. I've never had an issue with side trick ever, so I would just recommend doing side trick for safety. The only issue is that it can make your hitbox a bit wider on landing, which can be a bit of a problem if they back on landing, which is a pretty common backing spot actually. Just backing on landing, which is why I recommend just making sure you line yourself up in a line where your opponent won't immediately back, like for example more so on the left side. But yeah, overall that's just my 2 cents on this little road clip that can have different answers. For the rest of the track, pretty easy on Spiral. You get a first MT somewhat early, wheelie, and then chain drift last 2 MTs. Get an MT out towards the ramp here. To make sure you don't get any weird bounces on that ramp, I recommend hopping onto it instead of drift tricking straight when you're on it. I do it better in the tops run than on this because I genuinely got this in like 20 minutes, so it's not optimal at all. But overall, just hop onto the ramp instead of drift tricking onto it, prevents bounces or anything like that. Drift it to the right. And here is where, if you want to go for tops, you're going to reset a lot of your runs, especially at first. So this ramp with the cards has a few weird quirks. Usually you'll want to go to the left side because the left side on the downhill is faster. But there are 2 little quirks to this. If the card right here is on the left side, you can just stay far enough left that you go to the left of it regardless. It is pretty precise, but it can be consistent if given enough practice. But that is not what you're going to be resetting on if you are going for tops on this. You're going to reset on the road clip. Essentially, it's better if I show you. You can, if you line this up correctly, get sort of your back wheel stuck into the road and get really low air off the ramp, which saves around 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 even if you do it really well. And that's what's going to kill a lot of your runs for going for tops, especially if you're not like at Vestfet level driving, which pretty much almost no one is on this track, let's be honest. He's BKT holder for a reason, except maybe Dacia. But yeah, that's what you're going to be resetting a lot of your runs on. It's on this especially. My only advice I can give is that you should try and get your back wheel stuck beneath it around this little lip right here. This is your best opportunity to do it because it has like an angle change. And if you aim to be like somewhat lined up around here, you can get your back wheel stuck and just nudge a little bit to the left if you need. You see me like nudging around a bit beforehand. And then if you have the good angle, you can just stay neutral. Though you can nudge a bit if you feel yourself going a bit too far to the right or left. Though it has to be really small notches. And yeah, after that, it's just a matter of going onto top path, then drift tricking off, and back to it we go. And if you want to go for shroomless when you're after lap 1, when you don't have the startup boost, it's pretty easy. You just line yourself up on the left side of the road and get the same spin hop, get a drift, and just go. You can soft drift a bit depending on your angle if you need to adjust. If you need a visual cue, you just want to be as close to the black pillar as you can, as this black pillar right here, without clipping into it because you're immediately out of bounds. This one in particular is really close, but that shows you like the upper limit that you can have for it. So yeah, that's pretty much all you'll need to know about driving DMS. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy the tops run. See ya!